All right, this series is Through the Lens of Neville. The first movie we're going to talk about, there's not going to be a big preview here as far as a movie trailer is concerned, but we're going to talk about movies that I think Neville proved himself correct in the minds of later writers. And if you don't know who Rod Serling is or Lucille Ball, there are people you can look up and look at their works, and you will be amazed because they actually studied under Neville, went to his meetings in Los Angeles, probably at the Wilshire Ebell Theater, etc. And a lot of Hollywood was impacted by this man Neville and his wonderful genius. But there's a few movies I saw recently, and I thought to myself, boy, so many movies have made it to the list that Neville just proves himself correct over and over and over. So today we're going to start with Flatliners, 1990. I'm just going to basically just have a free-form discussion about it, what my take was on it, what I think is an interesting perspective when it comes to the idea of what the lens of Neville might see. If you're Neville-minded, what would you see in certain movies if you put your Neville binoculars on, or binoculars, as it were? So, Flatliners, 1990. Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, one of the Baldwin brothers, I think it's Stephen Baldwin, I believe, Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, Baldwin, and there's one more character, I forget his name, but so these group of medical students go on this tirade to experience NDEs. And if you've never heard of the phrase NDE is near-death experience. And what that means also more technically is that you've actually died, your heart stopped. Technically, legally, you were dead in the hospital and you went somewhere and you had visions, you traveled at light speed, you saw friends, relatives, religious entities, whatever you experienced, you went away, and then when they brought your body back to life, you came back. So this movie is about that whole idea. It starts off with Julia Roberts' character interviewing patients who've had these experiences, and she's really they're all students in this college, medical school apparently. So the first person to want to get into the NDEs is Kiefer Sutherland, and he needs to recruit these others to get him to be able to help him come back. So he's going to go ahead and induce a near-death experience, and then he's going to have his co-students come and bring him back because they're all the best guys that he trusts and they can do the job. So they all go through the experience. There's going to be spoilers here. On this whole series, there's going to be spoilers, but it's my take and it's my shake of each of these movies, and I think they're really worth watching. So you'll get what you get out of them, but it's my take on the movies in the Neville perspective. So Kiefer's character goes into an NDE, Kevin Bacon's character, Julia Roberts' character, and with whom am I missing? Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, he was the first one, and one more, Baldwin. Eventually, all four characters go through the rabbit hole, as it were, just like Alice, and they all have experiences that are more deep and emotional to them individually. Now, during the experience, each of them confront what you could call guilt. And in that experience, each of them, during the drama of the movie, again, spoilers, go watch it. If you don't want the spoilers, then come back here. If each of them go through their own experience and they all have a trip down guilt lane. And one character, Kiefer, was a bully in his youth, and he bullied another, and that kid ended up falling out of a tree and dying. That was a major guilt, and it's very traumatic to Kiefer's character. This is a very interesting perspective on the idea of trauma in this movie. So the Kiefer character is trying to come to an understanding of that, and that's what's haunting him in his near-death experience. Julia Roberts' character, as a little girl, when she went into her experience, and I think it was also a long-standing dream of hers, she would go into and see her father. I think she encountered her father as a little girl, and he might have been a Vietnam vet or some kind of veteran, I believe. I think there was a war tattoo on his arm. I'm not going to check all the details. This is for you to go enjoy, but the perspective, remember. And he was doing drugs, I believe, and she walked up on him, and he I think he might have been guilty or PTSD or what have you. Doesn't matter. It's still trauma. The father, was experiencing his own world of trauma, and then he ran out of there, and then he did one of these numbers, and then it was in the car. Then the mom came out, and Julia Roberts' character, the little girl, traumatized. Trauma. So you have two traumas. And it's funny, my teacher would tell me about this kind of stuff when I was as a young student with her. And she would say, oh, almost everybody has experienced one form of trauma or another. Oftentimes we're very good at hiding it. And that's just a little bit of extra flour for this story, but it's very curious how good we are as humans at trying to stuff trauma in the corner and not have to deal with it. These characters were coming face to face with the trauma in each of them. And so another character, Kevin Bacon, was also a bully, and he bullied a little girl on the playground, and he came to that guilt in his experience as well. These are very capital experiences for each of them so far. So you have the Kiefer character was a bully, caused the death of a kid. You have the Kevin Bacon character was a bully, caused very much ridicule to a little girl, which he felt guilty over. You have the Julia Roberts character, who's now guilt-ridden because of her not knowing why her dad left her. In her mind, probably as a kid, like any kid would think, she was abandoned by him. That's what a child would think. And some of us have been down that road, so we understand it fully. That's what my teacher helped bail me out of. We'll get to that story another day. And then you had the final character, the Baldwin character. He was basically engaged to a gal, and they were separated from by school or work or something, and he was busy with all these other girls, and he was playing the field like crazy. So in all of their NDE experiences, that guilt that I just described, in addition, the Baldwin character was felt the guilt of non-committal. So all of them came to a place where they had, all these characters came, and there was a fifth guy that was a helper, like an anesthesiologist, I believe, I forget, and he never did the NDE. He was the only one with sense in the room. So the rest of them did the NDE experience. They all came back. One barely, Kevin Bacon, I believe it was. And they all got to a place where they had to realize that, now I'm going to use Neville terms here, that imagining lovingly for that guilt was the only way out of it. And in so doing, Kiefer Sutherland's character, in his imagining lovingly experience, now this isn't the words they use, these are my words, but this is my Neville perspective. Kiefer Sutherland's character imagined that he was the one in the tree because he felt so guilty for doing this to a kid, and the kid died. And so he felt so guilty, he became the kid in the tree, and the other kid was the one throwing the rocks that caused Kiefer's character as a kid to fall and die. And the very interesting part about this, remember now, this is imagining lovingly. This is called also forgiveness. And who are you forgiving? It's always you pushed out. So the forgiveness quality for the Kiefer character, again, spoilers like crazy. So if you haven't gone and watched it and then came back, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's a worthy watch, especially when you got the Neville perspective. So the character known as the Billy Madison, I believe his name was, he was now the bully, and Kiefer Sutherland's character was lying dead, but also conscious. And the kid came up and he gave him a very nod and a smile and a loving, look on his face, and then Kiefer felt forgiven. Remember, Kiefer's character, the story. Kiefer, I forget the name of the character, but he had to find forgiveness here. Where do you find forgiveness? You find it right where it comes from, apparently. So he found forgiveness in his NDE experience and barely made it back. He was the one that barely made it back. Kevin Bacon's character, he was so traumatized by his NDE and his guilt over the shame of the girl, he actually looked her up in waking reality and went to her house, visited her, and she said, hey, that was a long time ago. And he says, hey, I'm sorry. We really treated you. And he was going through the motions of forgiving, imagining lovingly. And the movie was using it on the surface level. Now, us Neville-minded folk, we know what imagining lovingly means. It's in here. But we're looking at the Neville perspective because with a Neville mind, we can look at these movies and we can see these really great writers. I mean, really good writers. This is 1990. Putting together a good yarn. Like, we're going to do other movies like Matrix, etc. There's so many good movies. But when your focus is there, you'll be able to see it and pull it out. That's how it works. It's like a magnet. You just... So, he's with the gal in her greenhouse, in her house, and he's apologizing. And she was trying to brush it off. Her daughter's there, her husband's there. They go away, and now it's just her and him. And he says, I'm just sorry, I did that. He's imagining lovingly. He's taking the current guilt in him, and he's revealing that he is sorry. I'm sorry. That I don't care where we are in life, at whatever age, I am sorry I did that. And then he's like, for whatever it's worth, and then he's going to leave because she's kind of like not buying into it. And he's leaving, walking out. She goes, hold on. She goes, thank you. And so she thanked him, and it was a nod of both of their heads, and it was really appreciated between them and forgiven. So you've got this forgiveness. You got the first character, the bully, forgiving himself through the kid he bullied, who was obviously already gone as a kid. Now Kevin's character, forgiving himself for what he did to her. Forgiving himself in front of her. But then it's to her. So the movie shows them as two characters. Now let's move on to the next one. Julia Roberts. She finds herself in her NDE experience with her father. Walking in the room where he is. And then he recognizes her. And who doesn't want the recognition of their own father? Every single child wants their father's recognition. Hollywood knows that top to bottom, believe it. The movies can just pull that right out of you. She hugs him, and there's love and the wonder and magic of loving acceptance. Okay, so that's the healing there. It's Julia's character imagining lovingly and forgiveness both ways. And that's that wound. All these three wounds so far are being healed, and they're all back on the individual. You're not, remember, I'm going to throw in all the Neville stuff too while we go. You're not your story, but the story of these three characters so far are so enmeshed in their own story until they found forgiveness in themselves. They weren't able to fix it out here because guilt is a funny thing. Guilt, shame, whatever you want to call it. Stuck on the past. Creating a new past. We're going to get deep into that on this channel. You create the past right now. You create the future right now. It's all now. Let's go to the fourth character. Who do we have left? Baldwin character. So he has the NDE experience, near-death experience, and all of the girls he's partnered with, and they're all willing participants. It isn't like anybody's being wronged by anybody here. But they make it look like in the movie that he's taking advantage of them, or that each girl he's encountering in his dream. I forgot to mention this. In each person's waking experience, they're seeing the guilt in the world, like in waking reality. So they see experiences that are showing them what they just experienced in their near-death experience. So Baldwin's characters, he was running into girls who are trying to pick him up like he picked up these other girls. So it brought on this massive wave of guilt. And then all these other girls were just rifling in his head as far as the way the movie depicts it. And when he gets home from doing an errand or something, his fiancée is there. And she's like, I just came in here to see if you were okay. And I found all these tapes, and he was taping all of his experiences. And that blew up that relationship. So his guilt actually had a way of finding a resolution, but he had the guilt. And so he didn't feel like he deserved, because why would he do what he's doing so it didn't work. Each of these four characters had their own guilt that they forgave, and because of imagining lovingly, they had waking experiences that then made them confront it. Each of them. It's a very wonderful movie, well written. I think it's Joel Schumacher, I believe, or something like that. And all four of them came full circle with themselves. which was wonderful. I mean, to tell you, with the Neville lens, you're going to see some really cool stuff in movies, and I think that's one of the really good ones. Sorry for the spoilers. These are all going to have spoilers in them, so I'll get to the point where I'm going to say, this is the line, stop here, okay? So I hope I did that correctly enough for you. But it was a good movie. It's worth watching. The whole NDE experience is a wonderful subject, and it's really done well in the movie, I think. So go check it out for yourself. Look forward to the next one. I don't know what it's going to be because I'm just going to take them as they come. These are all going to be conversational. There's no real kind of, I might put, if I can, I'll find a screenshot for this movie so you can see what it is. But that's about it for now. We'll see you in the next one.